Hey everyone! I know, long time no see, but I'm back to bring you a video on how to solo boost a 200 mob pool in Maraudon. This pool is in current classic, but it will get even easier in pre-patch, where we get more spell power and consecration scaling nearly 100% instead of the current 33, and as always I've added timestamps to the video below, so let's get on with it. Starting off with the consumables, of course Zenza for Paladins is absolutely required, and on top of that you'll need 2 swiftness potions, 3 to 5 dense dynamites or crystal charges from Ngoro, 1 cheap low level explosive and 1 target dummy. The dummy is required to prevent resets, so if you don't have engineering, the best you can do is about 170 mobs, and I'll show further in the video why and where to use it. Bring some mana potions as well, as sometimes you need one, and lips in case something goes wrong. As for talents, you need to get Holy Shock, Consecration, Guardian's Favor for quicker Blessing of Protection, and Anticipation to be daze immune. So these are the talents I brought in. However, in pre-patch I would probably swap to this spec on the screen for the increased spell damage and reduced mana costs, and just use a defense weapon plus shield during the pull for the same daze immunity. I'm currently in full spell damage gear with tier 2, and I'll leave a link to the gear sets I use now and what I will use in pre-patch in the description below. Note that I am using ZG, head and leg enchants for that extra defense as well to become immune, as you need around 330 defense versus level 47 mobs, but to be honest I've done it all at 324 defense as per the gear below. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get on to the pull. Now we're going to be alternating between Judgment of Righteousness, Consecration and Holy Shock to pull the mobs. Of course, only using rank 1s so you conserve your mana. When we get to the Satyr and the Imp side, you can also use Exorcism rank 1 to pull those. But you should be able to follow the same spell order as I do in every spot, so I'll put the spells that I'm using at the exact second in the screen on which mob as we're going along the pull. Starting off here, you want to Holy Shock this snake at max distance so you have enough time to use Judgment on the next pack without taking too many hits. You can also get some distance from the mobs by jumping in this little ramp here and then using Consecration again at max distance above. Once you're up here, use another Judgment and make your way to the next pack. You'll want to use another Consecration on these ones and Judgment or just auto attack the next pack, and save your Holy Shock for the very last snake pack in the far left, as most snakes by now will be catching up with you. Once again, you can kind of slide in this wall to get some distance from them, but taking some hits is perfectly fine as you'll be able to heal that in the water up ahead. As you're running, always stay close to the walls because you want to waste the minimum amount of time possible. Since it takes about 1 minute to reach the next mobs, I'm gonna take this time to talk about 2 important things. One is the Cavern Shamblers. These share a spawn with other cavern mobs, so their number varies each run, but the important thing is they cast a rejuvenation heal over time effect. This means they will slow us down significantly in the kill phase, so we've got 2 choices. You can either pull them and ask the boosties to help finish them off, or you try to avoid them entirely as I do in this video. The other thing is the sludges up ahead reset a lot of the mobs if they are pulled when the mobs are close to them. And this is where the target dummy comes in, because it will AoE taunt everything around it. That means we can use Blessing of Protection on it and hold the mobs there for a few seconds, enough for us to aggro the sludges and prevent the resets. For that, I've made a macro that will be on the screen and the description below that you can spam to cast a dummy on your mouse over and instantly bop it. Okay, at this point you want to wait for all the snakes to catch up, because you need the mobs to be in a tight group. Once they're near enough, pull the slimes with the Consecration and judge the cavern lurker near them. Run up to the next lurker and use Consecration again. Then start running to the next slimes, but be careful to never pull the dryads as they are ranged and do too much damage. If that last shambler in the water turns out to be a lurker, you can use Holy Shock to get him as well. As you're running up the ramp, try to jump between the corners of it to get some distance from the mobs and prevent some attacks on you. Now here you want to pull as many of these slimes as possible and also clump the mobs in a tight group. So the best way I found to do it is to just run through them in the opposite direction of the kill phase and then jump down here. You can now use a Divine Favor plus Holy Light to get back to full health, and then pull any remaining slimings around the area. At this point, wait for the mobs to be close to you and bubble into them to be sure they will all be in range of the target dummy. Once you see all the mobs in a tight group around you, spam the macro near and get running up the ramp. You will now need to use any sort of explosive to pull the sludges. Personally, I use explosive rockets as their effect is instant and doesn't have a travel time, making it quicker and safer to pull, but any cheap explosive will do the job. Exorcism rank 1 the imps on the left side and then run towards the pack on the right. When you're about halfway through to them, use a swiftness potion to make sure you get to the next sludges in time and once again prevent the resets. It's important that you save Holy Shock for these sludges to pull them at max distance. Once you get here, if this mob is a lurker, stun it and attack the final sludges. If it's a shambler, I just skip it. Exorcism the 2 satyrs on the right, use Consecration to pull these 2 trees and whatever else to pull the other 2. Now run through this pack and use Consecration around the middle of that entrance so you pull the 2 stealth satyrs as well. Holy Shock should be out of cooldown, so use that to pull this tree and jump here to these rocks. This jump might be a bit hard, so you can go practice it before you try pulling, but basically you slide a bit through the wall and land on that side there. Take this time to cast a heal or 2, and very importantly, turn your back to the water and move backwards so you fall in this little ledge here. Once the mobs are close enough, jump down and make a run for it. Use Judgment on this tree, go around the log and jump into the stairs, and use Exorcism again to pull the last pack. Now you finally get some breathing room for a few seconds, but more importantly, you both create enough distance to allow you to get all the satyrs in the next cave, and also you wait for your next Swiftness Potion cooldown. You can jump down right away and heal up, pull this tree, and because we want the pack to be tight, wait until the mobs are close to the second set of stairs before you continue. Use Consecration once more, and your Swiftness Potion should be just coming out of cooldown, so use it as soon as it does. Inside this cave, make sure you Judgment this tree, use Exorcism in the right satyrs, and then Consecrate exactly in the middle of these 2 packs. It might happen that you get stunned by the trees here, but unless it's 2 stuns in a row, you should be fine and have enough time to run. Also, be sure to prioritize pulling this tree, since the big pack won't pass by it to social aggro. It's important to save Holy Shock to pull the tree down there, and then just run through most mobs, making sure you pull all of the trees as sometimes they don't aggro by social. Once you're close enough, Exorcism the satyrs on the left corner and Consecrate these 2, followed by a Judgment on the closest imp. Now you'll want to run straight to the entrance of the dungeon, and we'll come back down for the rest of the mobs later. Use Holy Shock to keep you up, as you won't need it anymore, and again jump up the ramp to create some distance while using Exorcism in the pack nearby. Be extremely careful up here, as any mob that is under you will hit you through the roof, so it's best to wait until the majority of them have passed to move in. At this point, you can use whatever spells you want to pull the rest and make your way up the small platform, jumping down as soon as you can. This will essentially make the mobs fold into a tighter group. Instantly jump down here and move back into the tunnel, but be sure you move further in, enough where the mobs won't hit you by running above. Take your time to heal up with a Divine Favor, and now we'll just wait until the mobs are close enough. Once they've caught up, Exorcism the imp inside the cave, and make your way deeper into the dungeon. Holy Shock that tree in the corner and keep running. You should wait for the mobs to be close enough to you before you jump down, and even taking some hits is perfectly fine. We are plate geared after all, unlike some of those weakling mages. Pull the remaining trees here, sometimes you get one, sometimes two, and prepare for the kill phase. You should be fast enough that you can run past the roof where they can hit you and continue running until the beginning of the dungeon again. At this point, all we're doing is making sure the pack is tight enough so that once we bubble, they will all be on top of us. As soon as you jump down, run to the pole straight away, and now you kind of want to wait until the number of mobs on each side is even. Once you're ready, bubble first and then jump in and go all out. Consecration max strength, Zandalarian trinket into Holy Wrath and a dense dynamite. In the last second of bubble, jump back into the pole. At this point most imps will be dead and the pack will be well stacked, and we're just going to be doing the good old consecration and then jumping back and forth, forcing the mobs to be pathing inside consecration and take nearly full damage. I also want to point out that sadly Wrath of Cenarius is not a good ring here, as you need to consecrate before the mobs reach you, since leeway will get you nearly instantly killed. You'll also be taking quite a few hits here and there, so make sure to keep yourself up using Divine Favor to get that mana back. Now in exactly a minute after you bubble, you will have Blessing of Protection ready to be used, which comes out of cooldown just as your Holy Wrath does, and you use it once again to stack the mobs. The best way to do it is to put the consecration down, go back a little bit to give the mobs some time to reach you, and then use Blessing of Protection as you run into the mobs. It's important to note that while you can consecrate in Holy Wrath, you won't be able to use a dense dynamite while inside Bob, so just remember to use it right after. Also, don't forget to rebuff Blessing of Wisdom on yourself, unlike I did here, to prevent you from using mana potions. By now, most mobs should be low enough that they are slow walking, so keep using Consecration and doing the back and forth jumping, which should be a lot easier, and it shouldn't take much longer until they're dead. And that's it, a 30-minute run from start to finish on a Paladin, and this run ended up being about 207 kill, but you need to remove 2 snakes and the 1 target enemy from the list, so realistically it was 204 mobs within 13 minutes. And once again, this should be exponentially quicker in pre-patch, because not only Consecration scales nearly 100% with spell damage, but we also get a lot more spell damage from talents. For a better comparison, I have 433 spell damage in this set, but using a mix of tier 3 and tier 2 and Nax gear, in pre-patch I'll have 605. Like I said before, you can check both gear sets in the description below. Alright, that was it for this video, guys. I know I haven't been around a lot in the past 6-7 months, but a lot of stuff went on with life. But I am planning to come back for TBC, and for those that did follow me before, yeah, I did end up getting Scarab Lord in the end, mostly thanks to my insane guild. We're just a semi-hardcore guild, more on the casual side actually, and we had to compete with insanely big guilds in Ashbringer, but we did end up getting it in the end. I'll eventually do a video on it, but for now I'll probably focus on TBC, pre-patch, Paladin stuff, and yeah, looking forward to do more videos. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you around.